Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
As valuers, as land surveyors, as property managers, you will be called upon once in a while to give evidence as an expert in court, in a tribunal, in an arbitration, in a commission of inquiry. So it's important to understand what exactly you need to do. That's the logo of my company. The slogan is in Latin. It just means whatever you do, do it well. So the role of the expert witness is to assist the court or tribunal. The important thing to bear in mind is that when you are called upon as an expert witness, your duty is to the court or the tribunal. Your duty is not to the client who has called you to give evidence. That is very important because the minute the court or tribunal gets the impression that you are playing the role of an advocate for your client, then that will cause perception problems. The board or the tribunal or the court might decide that you are biased or that you are not independent. Now, we also need to draw a distinction between the expert witness and expert determination. An expert witness appears in court or a tribunal to give evidence in his area of competence. Now, this is quite different from when parties have got a dispute and they say, we are inviting a land surveyor to come and establish the beacons, and where he fixes those beacons will be accepted by both sides. That is, in that case, the land surveyor is playing the role of an expert determiner. He's not a witness. The same case when there is a rent dispute, the landlord and the tenant agree, either in the lease agreement or in another agreement, that we will call upon a valuer. He will carry out a valuation, and what he establishes to be the value of this property will be the value accepted by both sides. Again, there the valuer is playing the role of an expert determiner, which, as I said, is a role different from that of an expert witness. I'll skip one point and go to the last one. The expert witness is independent and he's not an advocate. It is acceptable for you as an expert witness to play the role of an advocate for your client. But if you decide to wear those hats, you must disclose upfront. Now, types of witnesses. There are 4 types of witnesses. One is the witness of fact. He tells the court or the tribunal what he saw, heard, etc., without expressing a professional opinion. The fact that you are an expert in your field does not necessarily mean that whenever you give evidence, you are an expert witness. You could be an expert, but in some occasions, you might be called upon to give not expert opinion, but to give evidence of fact. Then, of course, thirdly, there is the witness of fact and opinion, where one person gives evidence both as an expert and gives opinion, gives witness on facts. Now, the 4th category is the witness of fiction, or the hired gun, or the whore. He says whatever you have paid him to say. Now, basic rules of evidence. I'll go very quickly through that list. Generally, all facts must be proved. Secondly, whoever asserts something assumes the burden of proving it. Thirdly, means of proof. There is oral evidence, documentary evidence, for example, letters, etc., or real evidence, for example, a specimen. hearsay evidence is not admissible. And finally, privileged documents, for example, letters which are written without prejudice, they are not acceptable, they are not admissible. Now, some practical issues on evidence. One is that evidence is given by a natural living being, not a firm of valuers or of land surveyors. So when you are called to give evidence, you stand there on your own. Nobody cares which company you work for, whether it's among the top 5 in the world or the last 3 on River Road. You stand there as an expert in your own right. And it doesn't matter at all that you have a small practice, you work alone, you work from home, or you work from a small office somewhere. You are an expert. It is what is here which counts, not the size of your employer or any such factors. The other thing is that evidence should be given by the person who has first-hand knowledge of the property, not his boss who countersigned the report. What it means is that for you principals who send your associates to inspect properties for various purposes, that's okay. But when it comes, that's okay for bank purposes, to countersign. But when it comes to giving expert evidence, the person who actually visited the property must be the one to give evidence. The boss cannot give evidence. He was seated in the office. He might never have been to the property. He cannot be an expert witness because he would be giving hearsay evidence, what he has been told. Now, this creates a problem because if the person who actually visited the site is not a registered valuer or is not an expert, then there is a problem because neither the person who visited the property can give evidence nor the principal. So there can be no expert witness from that company. Now, the credentials which matter are those of the expert and not those of the employer. Finally, avoid technical jargon like YP, PV, PSF. They mean a lot to us in the profession. We know what they mean, but you are talking to a judge, an advocate, a tribunal, a commission of inquiry. They don't know what YP means, or PV, or PSV. Either you do without those technical phrases altogether, or you use them and give the necessary explanations as footnotes or attachments. Otherwise, you'll be talking to yourself. Now, the format. Ideally, a valuation report should be reformatted as a witness statement. A standard valuation report is a little awkward when it's presented as a witness statement. A witness statement, for example, should be on plain paper, not your beautiful letterheads, which have got your logo, list of directors, postal address. The court is not interested in any of those. So your evidence, your witness report should be on plain paper, simple plain paper. No flowers, no frills, no frills. Include a brief summary of the expert's personal CV, like half a page, not more than half a page. If you have got a long CV, like myself, and many of you here have long CVs, you attach it as an attachment at the back, so that if the judge or if the advocate cross-examining you wants to refer to it, they can look at the back. It should contain, the expert report should contain a statement of independence, basically saying that I'm an independent witness and I have no previous dealings with the person who has called me to give evidence which would cause me to falsify the evidence or whatever. There are formats for doing that, and I'm not in a position to go into the details now. The limiting conditions, those 9 clauses, valuers love, they have no place in the witness statement. Some of the contents of those limiting conditions negate the expert report. Because, for example, you are saying that your liability in that report is limited to the bank or KCB or whichever bank. Now here you are in court. You have not been called by KCB. As I have said earlier, even if KCB instructed you to carry out the valuation, your liability now, you are answerable to the court or to the tribunal. So all that needs to be reconsidered. The procedure. Sometimes experts are required to carry out a joint inspection because one valuer will be saying the office is 1,000 square feet, the other one will be saying it's 2,000 square feet. It's maddening for judges and tribunals because they wonder, did these people go to the same school? So you might be required by the tribunal, both of you to go and measure the premises and come up with an agreed area, how big the property is. The other thing you could do is hold a without prejudice meeting of the experts. This is where experts from both sides meet over a cup of tea, with or without their advocates and clients, and see if there are ways in which they could narrow the areas of disagreement. Yeah, so you agree possibly on the areas, you agree on some of the comparables, maybe not all of them, you agree on some of the comparables. You might also agree on some of the aspects in which the reports are differing, and then that helps the court a lot. Now, expert evidence, like other evidence, is normally given on oath or affirmation. The implication is that if you lie, you are liable for perjury, which is a criminal offense. Now, the procedure in a hearing is normally examination in chief, that is, you are examined by the advocate representing your client. Then the cross-examination, that is where you are asked questions by the advocate from the other side. And lastly, re-examination by the advocate who is representing your client. The order of witnesses. Claimants' witnesses are heard first, and then the respondents. Finally, hot tabbing. This is, instead of calling the experts one at a time, sometimes courts and tribunals call both experts or the 3 or 4 experts. You sit together and you are asked questions back and forth by the tribunal or the court and by the two sides. That is usually a more productive approach instead of trying to get evidence from one expert witness at a time. I have been added 30 minutes, thank you. Food for thought. Is it market value or open market value? I understand you discussed that in the morning. I'll just ask you a question. Take, for example, a Plainsview Maisonette, 4 bedrooms. What is the market value? Anybody from the floor? 4-bedroom Maisonette, Plainsview Estate, Nairobi. What is the market value? Any figure. Give me any figure. 14 million? 14? 14, 15? Okay, fine. Would your answer change if you are giving an open market valuation? Or would it be the same figure? Just food for thought. The other question is value a figure or a range? We are very careful when talking about square footage or distances to say approximately 12 kilometers from Nairobi or approximately half an acre. How come when it comes to the value we say 14 million shillings and 15 million shillings? Then you go to the tribunal and pick a Bible or a Quran or your holy book and you say, you are telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I am suggesting that we have been taught badly. It is quite possible that value is a range and not a specific figure. And that we should adopt our practices accordingly. When I say we, I mean we as valuers in Kenya. I'm a chartered surveyor, so I'm talking of we as members of RICS. I'm not singling out ISK. What about when there is a discrepancy between the value in figures and in words. The figures read 10 million shillings. But when you come to the words, it's 100 million shillings. What is the value? Can anyone remember our guidelines? We have a manual. The manual says it's the words which are final. We ignore the figure. Yet, when you are writing, when you are preparing a professional report like I do, what do you start with? It's the figure you start with, then you write the words. And when you are proofreading, it's usually the figure you verify. You usually, the mistake is usually in the words. Now that is something also we need to think about. For me, when I have made mistakes, and I have, like many of you have, it's in the words, not the figures.